This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel Strat-O-Matic Baseball Excel Game of the Week.
Welcome back, baseball fans, to the Game of the Week in the Fall League 1979-82. We got a game today between the Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals. The National League is winding down to its last few series, and this is the last series that will actually determine wild card teams, division winners. Let's take a look at the National League picture, and you see who has a chance, who's watching on the outside looking in, who's in the dance, that kind of thing. Let's start out west. Astros have clinched this division out west because the rest of the teams folded. Portland gets the Mountain Time Zone, but Las Vegas, they're just a game over 500, but they're watching their TV closely to see if they can sneak in as a wild card. Not looking good, but stranger things have happened. And then we'll skip to the north, or the east, I should say. Phillies have clinched this thing. They don't play the Mets, they play the Braves. Braves are out. Marlins are out. Mets are in as a wild card. Number 5 or 6 seed to be determined. 3 over 500. Congratulations, Mets. Kind of a surprise. They're in as a wild card. Phillies will win this division. So the action today is here. And we are in the middle of this series. A series where the Reds came in as a favorite to win the division, with the Cardinals getting a wild card. And the Cardinals having an outside chance of beating the Reds 4-1 to squeak out a division win and make the Reds the wild card. It has not happened to this point. Let's take a look and see why. Game 1, we open up in Riverfront in Cincinnati. John Fulgham for the Cardinals, Fred Norman for the Reds. And the Reds got out to an early lead in this one, knocking Fulgham around a little bit. Single, double, single in the third gives you a couple runs. You get an RBI single by Brett Butler, making it 3-0. You get a couple doubles by Bench and Concepcion. It's 5-zip. And we're thinking, boy, the Reds taking advantage of this Cardinal team. But the Cardinals rally. Off of Fred Norman in the 7th, who had thrown 6 shutout innings. Single, single, double, then to get him out. But the bullpen doesn't help. After getting him, they bring in Paul Moskow. The heritage runner scores. They go to Dave Tomlin in the 8th. He walks a couple batters. And with a tie run at first in a 4-3 game, the lead run at the plate, they bring in Ron Davis, the closer, who's having a really great year for the Reds. He's also good about getting lefties out. Against George Orta, who actually hits the lefties better than righties, it doesn't matter. It's a homer off of Orta's card, and a 4-3 deficit is a 5-4 lead for the visiting Cardinals. They're pumped. Down 4-zip in this. They take a 5-4 lead, and their closer, Mark Littell, gets the final out. It gets Lee Lacy to strike out to end the game. This is a road win for the Cardinals in Riverfront, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, down 4-zip after 6 frames. And you're thinking, my goodness, these Cardinals, they're going to get on a roll. Well, let's go to game 2. Do the Reds even this thing up at home? In game number 2. It is Bob Forsch, reliable Bob Forsch for the Cardinals, against Tom Seaver for the Reds. And frankly, it's just too much Tom Seaver. A Cardinal offense that has all left-handed or switch hitters in the lineup. Brock, Herr, Hernandez, Simmons, Orge, Templeton, Orta, McGee, Oberkfell. 9 lefties, 3 righties on the bench. Doesn't matter. Tom Seaver cruises in this one. A nice nifty 10-hitter. They get a run in the 9th. 7 runs for the Reds. Plenty of offense off of a very frustrated Forsch, who really got clunky today. You got a bench homer here. You got this number 9 hitter, Dave McKay. We talked about him in the draft as a decent third baseman, defensively, switch hitter. Actually, it's 263, and it's righties better than lefties. He goes 4 for 4 in this game. Double, single, single, double. You know, Bench has an RBI 2-run double here. I mean, it's just too much Cincinnati. And the first place team beats the second place team 7-1. So we're right back where we started from with a split. And now the Cardinals have their work cut out for them if they want to win the division. They got to win 3 straight. Moreover, they got to win 2 out of 3 to stay out of the wild card conversation with that Las Vegas team I spoke of. Well, let's see what happens in Game 3, folks. Game 3, we're here in St. Louis, and we're thinking, come on, we're going to run this thing out here against the Reds. We don't care. The Reds aren't really playing for much. They just clinched. You know, they can clinch or whatever. And you have Bill Bonham versus Steve Rainbow Trout. Neither pitcher does particularly well. They're both pulled after 6 more than eventful, and I should say, uneventful pitching. It's a 5-5 game after 6. Bunch of singles for each pitcher. Bonham 10 hits in 6 innings. Trout 8 hits, 3 walks in 6 innings. The game will be decided by bullpens, and this is a nice little battle of bullpen matchups here. In the 8th inning, we have a single by Brett Butler. Nicosia advances him to second, so we have a runner at second with 2 outs, and Urea is good against righties, so they have Garth Orge playing second, so they pinch hit Bump Wills, the switch hitter, who really isn't that much. He's like a 251 hitter, and Urea usually walks lefties, doesn't give up a lot of hits against them, but lo and behold, they find a double chance on the Urea card, scoring the runner. Tough break, tough battle there for Urea. He's left in there because they have Concepcion, a righty, up on deck. And so, yeah, Bump Wills isn't really worth intentionally walking. You get the idea. Tough break. Reds get a run. They're the Reds. And in the bottom half, I mean, the Cardinals have their chances. In the 7th, they get a runner on. In the 8th, you have first and second with 2 outs, and Keith Hernandez gets chased by Ron Davis. Ron Davis will give up a homer to George Orta. Well, this time he gets Hernandez out. And then in the 9th inning, Ron Davis earns a 4-out save, gives up a triple to Gary Templeton, but gets a ground out to end this game. It's a 6-5 victory for the Reds, winning 2 of the last 3, and this clinches the division for the Reds. So they're in, clinching the division with this victory. And the Cardinals are scratching their heads thinking that they had the momentum and everything like that, but they did lose 2 out of 3 games here, and thus far, now that when we look at the standings again, we see this Cardinals, well, there they are, they're 15-14, and there's Las Vegas. So the Cardinals need to win a game or 2. If they split the next 2 games, if they lose this game, they're done. If the Cardinals lose the game I'm about to play, they finish 15-15. Reds win the series 3-1, and Vegas goes to the playoffs. The Cardinals win the next 2 games and come back and win this series 3-2. They're in the playoffs. Vegas on the outside looking in. And if the Cardinals somehow split the next 2, the Reds win the series 3-2, we're going to have a tiebreaker between the Cardinals and Vegas because both teams will be a game over 500. We'll have to go through a tie-breaking process. So, still a lot to play for. Vegas is tuned in. Cardinals are at home. I think they have a pitching advantage. Again, they're scratching their heads. They thought they were going to surprise the Reds. By the way, the Cardinals, when they faced the Reds earlier this year, let me find that result again for you. When they played the Reds earlier this year, St. Louis, 1 loss, 1 loss, 1. They won 3-2, alternating, winning games 1, 3, and 5. So these teams are pretty good. Year to date, 3-2. They are 4-4. Yeah, teams are 4-4 to this point. Of course, the Reds have won the division, as you saw. So, but it's still a very eventful game. And the Reds, you know, they've been stretched out in their last few series. They got to go to the bullpen for a starter today. They got to go Joe Price. We got only Tom Seaver can pitch on 3 days rest, and we got 5 games in a row. We've had Soto and Norman, Seaver, and Bill Bonham. Now we got to go Joe Price. Trotting out of the bullpen for the Reds, which is fine. He's a starter 6, relief 4 anyway. Joe Price, 7-3 with a 3.57 ERA in 111 innings, 1980. Nice little pitcher here. Would find his niche in the bullpen later in the decade. And the Cardinals will counter with Silvio Martinez. In 1979, Silvio had his best year. He was 15-9 with a 3.26 ERA, could pitch on 3 days rest. his last really good year. And then by 1980, Silvio starts to fade a little bit. So, must-win game for your St. Louis Cardinals. Cincinnati at St. Louis, giving you a nice little battle here, folks. Fun teams, too. Got a lot of cool players in these two teams. Cardinals have to tweak their lineup against a left-handed pitcher with all those lefties in it. So Brock, Dane Orge, and Tom Herr are on the bench. And they had to put Ken Maka, Ken Reitz, and Jerry Martin in the lineup. So we'll see how that plays out. For your Cincinnati Reds, the same lineup we've been going through most of the year against right-handed pitchers. Leading off, it will be Lee Lacy, 65, lines the first. Brett Butler, 1-3, pops out. And George Foster, 34, skies the center. Bottom of one, it's Willie McGee, 38 is a K. Oberkfell, 48, is a walk. Gary Templeton, 66, skies the center, and with 2 outs, it's Keith Hernandez, 2-8, rounds the second base. Top of 2. Lee May, 1-8. Lee May, let's take a look at the card here. So Lee May, if you're wondering, has returned to Cincinnati very, 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 very late in his career now. It's 1982. He was in Kansas City. Put this little card together. Oh my goodness, folks. It's a 308 card for Lee May, kindling up his, 1969, 70, 71 era Lee May for Cincinnati, bringing it back 13 years later. I'd like to see these guys return to where they were. Lee May back in Cincinnati, and 1-8, triple 1-10. That's 2-base hit for the Big Bopper. Ken Griffey, 33, pops out. Johnny Bench, 312, bounces short. And with 2 outs, it's going to be Concepcion, 65. Lines the first, Silvio battles back, leaves that runner at second. All right, you got Ted Simmons, 35, third. Jerry Martin, 6'10", center X. You have Brett Butler, 2E5 in center, makes the catch. And George batting out of Orta, 64, third X. Your third baseman today is Dave McKay. Having a nice little year for these guys. 2 third basemen, E29. That's going to be a single. Orta is on for Ken Reitz. And he bounces to third. Scoreless into the third. It's Bump Wills, 49. This is going to be a clean double off of the Silvio Martinez card. Speedy Bump Wills at second base. For number 9 hitter, Dave McKay, third baseman. 42, second X. We have Oberkfell's a 3E14 at second base. Makes the play. Wills at third. They're going to bring the infield up. Everything counts to these Cardinals. They don't want the Reds to get an early lead in this one. You got Lee Lacy with a runner at third, 1 out. Infield is up. Here's the pitch to Lee Lacy. 55 off Martinez is a grounder to second C. So the runner holds. Bringing the infield up was the call in that situation. And the 2 outs. It's Brett Butler. 3-6. Let's take a look at Brett Butler's 1981 Atlanta card. Hit 254. Brett had a nice little run for Atlanta, but for some reason didn't stick there as for a very long time. I believe he played for the Giants and the Dodgers. Gosh, I almost want to think he played for the Reds too, which is why we got him here. And the reality is I don't think he played for the Reds. But anyway, he's playing for them now. If you're wondering why Brett Butler's doing here, the Braves, well, they got Dale Murphy in center field, and frankly, Brett Butler needs to play center field. He's a great center fielder, so the Reds needed somebody. They don't have Geronimo anymore. 3-6 is your base hit, and the Reds have a lead. B. Steeler, 0-arm catcher. We'll let Foster swing away here. 46 is a walk. Now you got 2 on and 2 outs, and here's that Lee May again. 1-7, you saw the card. Oh my goodness, hits a scorcher. It rolls on the turf and rockets into the corner, and oh my goodness, Lee May turns up at third base, folks. Holy Toledo, a Lee May triple. And oh my goodness, this could be the Cardinals season here on the Lee May triple, for Pete's sakes. Runner at third, 2 outs, and it's Griffey. 4-10 off the Martinez card. He's got power. It's Homer. 1-10. Double the rest, and it's gone. Ken Griffey's home run. And my best Garagiola I can go there. Yeah. That's a 2-run bomb. And it's suddenly 5-0 before the Cardinals fans. Oh my goodness. What a tough debacle here. All with 2 outs, and it's Johnny Bench. 49, 1-1-4 is a base hit. If you're wondering, it's really hard to pull a starter this early, even if it's a potential clinching game. Though I think if you can't get Concepcion out, they might do that and bring in a lefty. So 5-0 is still winnable. So we'll pitch to Concepcion. 48, double 1-6 is a base hit. We've seen enough. That's enough. My goodness, the Boo Birds come down here in St. Louis, and they did not expect their team to fall on such hard times here, the Cardinals. They really have a great team, and it's just not happening here. They're the Cardiac Cardinals, so they have comeback wins. You saw that they were down 4-0, and they came back and won Game 1. But Silvio Martinez is gone after 2 2/3. Oh, my goodness. But the good news is, the Cardinals will go to John Martin. And you're bringing this guy who actually was a starter 7. So it's not a big deal. He can just pick up and finish this thing when you think about it. John Martin was put in the bullpen because they had too many starters. He was a starter 7 in 81, 8-5, 3.41 ERA in 103 innings for John Martin. And he really needs to pick the Cardinals up now. With runners in the corners and 2 outs, and he'll face Bump Wills, who started this inning off with a double. The pitch to Bump Wills. 6-10 off Martin is catcher's card. You like to get a foul out for Simmons, because this would score a run if you get a pass ball. What's Simmons' E rating here? You know what, that 6th run to score. You can avoid it. They get a ground ball B, big break. So you avoid the pass ball. That's a big break that the Cardinals absolutely had to have. So it's just a fielding play by the catcher, and it stays 5-0. Wow. Plenty of baseball left. It's only the 3rd inning. 5-0. Great teams. They come back down 5-0 in Strat. So we're going to find out. That's they have to do it, or they don't go to the playoffs. And yeah, so they dug them this hole. It's up to the Cardinals, who we're kind of rooting for here. We like this team, but they seem to be snake-bit. Haven't been to the playoffs in a while. Ken Maka, 1-3, skies the right. Back up top, it's Willie McGee. 66, flies to center. And with 2 outs, Ken Oberkfell, 1-3, bounces to third. Cardinals are kind of a little bit confused against left-handed pitching. They prefer righties. Again, all those lefties and switch hitters, they love facing the more common right-handed pitchers. The Reds are a little unorthodox, with Fred Norman and Joe Price starting in this series. We go to the 4th. It's Dave McKay. 2-7 is a K. Lee Lacy, 45, pops out. And Brett Butler, 2-3, skies to center field. John Martin doing the job here. Gary Templeton, 39, flies to left. Keith Hernandez, 59, bounces to second base. And Ted Simmons, 45. Simmons, off the Joe Price card, finds the power column of 4-5. It's Homer, 1-7, double the rest. And on a 1, that ball's crushed. Ted Simmons puts the Cardinals on the board. It's 5-1. Jerry Martin, 4-10, center B. We'll go to the 5th. It's George Foster. 2-6 is a K. Lee May, a double and a triple today. 45, pops to second. And Ken Griffey, 63. Pitcher X, but it's an E0 for John Martin. Nice work. Probably could have started, but, Martinez got pitches on 3 days rest, so you don't really sit him for that. It's 5-1. Cardinals win the Grand Slam, bottom of the 5th. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
All right. Las Vegas is tuned in, and they're doing high fives. They're seeing the writing on the wall here. If the Reds can hold on, we've got an expansion team, Las Vegas team, sneaking into the playoffs and messing up traditional baseball as we know it in this time period. Bottom of the fifth, it's George Orta. 57, short X. Concepcion, a 1E30, a lot of errors, but this fantastic range. Ken Reitz, 6'10", center X. We got Butler, 2E5 in center. Oh, but Brett Butler makes a two-base error. Tough break there for the Reds. Open, put a crack in the door, cracked it open there. Now you got Ken Maka, the number 9 hitter, NDH. 37, skies to center, and with 2 outs, it's Willie McGee. 2-3, bounces to third. It is Joe Price. If you recall, that one other game, Norman had 6 shutout innings, then they got knocked around in the 7th, and Price has got 5 innings with a solo home run. The lefties are doing it to the Cardinals. We go to the 6th. Martin continues. He's doing fine. Johnny Bench, 58. Triple 1-3, base hit for Johnny. Concepcion, 67, pops to third. Bump Wills, 211, pops out. Dave McKay, 47, second X. This is Oberkfell, a 3E14 second baseman. John Martin has settled the team down. He has gone 3 1/3 innings. He's relief 4. He'll doing a nice job. We'll keep on going. 5-1. Speaking of doing a nice job, Joe Price. He can't lose this thing, folks. He's a starter 6. He's got a 4-run lead. He'll be out of here if the Cardinals, get a rally going. So it'll be Ken Oberkfell leading off. 6'10", center X. Again, Brett Butler. He goofed the ball earlier, 2E5. This time he catches it. Gary Templeton. 64, third X. This is McKay. He's a good range. He's a 2E29, third baseman. Put the E rating in, and he makes the play. And with 2 outs, if Price gets through 6, I mean, that is the Reds will be doing high fives. Keith Hernandez, 38, is a K. In a column full of hits and walks, he misses them. 6 innings in the book for Joe Price. It's gravy time for him. They've got Ron Davis, Dave Tomlin, and Paul Moskow in the Red bullpen here. And they're going after a top seed. They can get the number 1 or 2 seed in the whole National League. So the Reds are playing for a lot as well. Top of the 7th, John Martin continues. It will be Lee Lacy. 1-8 for Lee. It's a grounder to short. Brett Butler, 6'10". Third X, it's Kenny Reitz. Kenny Reitz, always a great defensive player. Makes the play. And George Foster, 55. Bouncer to second base. Martin has given up a single in 4 innings. My goodness, folks. Stretch time here in St. Louis of a 5-1 affair. We have been enjoying listening to Ann Peebles. Ann Peebles telling it is what she's doing. She's telling it. In 1975 she is. Come to Mama. Beware. Dr. Love Power. Another great LP by the magnificent Ann Peebles. Back to the game. Cardinals, 5-1. Man, gotta flip the switch. Gotta flick it on here. Thought they could win the series. Thought that they could win the division. They're having trouble winning a game. Joe Price is back out there for the 7th, and this is where the Cardinals have to do their best to break this guy. It'll be Simmons, Martin, Orta, and Reitz. With a 4-run lead, Joe Price continues. Ted Simmons leads off. 58, short X. This is Concepcion. Got to get the error here. Plug in the 30. They do not get the error. Jerry Martin, he's just over 2 today. 54, pops to short, and with 2 outs, it's George batting out of Orta. 46 off of Price, big result here. Double, 1-9, fly ball the rest. Rolls at 10, misses, double 1-9, fly out. I don't know, folks. This does not look good at all. It's 5-1 as we go to the 8th inning. John Martin may as well. He's been the brightest spot today for the Cardinals, keeping this thing within a grand slam. They do have Dave Rucker, John Uria, and Mark Littell in the bullpen. And it's Lee May. 2 for 3 today. 34. Skies to center. May will also, actually, yeah, he will exit. And Corcoran will come in defensively for him. And that's all the Reds' defense in there. Ken Griffey, 5'11", short X. Templeton's a 2E40. Makes the play. Johnny Bench, 68, and double 1 and 9 off Martin. He misses it on a 13. What a performance here, and my goodness, if they only started Martin, what we would have had on our hands. Bottom of the 8th, 6 outs left in the Cardinal season. Joe Price, you got Reitz Maka, dare we tempt fate? We do have 3 relievers and 6 outs to get. I think we do it. Let's go. Let's hook them, because they have back-to-back righties. The rare time they have that. So let's go with Moscow, or at least these 2 batters. Paul Moscow will come on in. Moscow in 1980 was 9-7, ERA of 4 in 153 innings. You know, both Moscow and Price just could not crack the rotation on a very talented Cincinnati team with Tom Seaver and Mario Soto at the top of it. The only problem the Reds have is Seaver's the only guy who can pitch on 3 days rest. So there are times in the season like today where you have just a 3-man bullpen, and that could be tricky as the Reds are attempting to win the World Series with a pretty good team. So it'll be Paul Moscow coming on in the 8th inning with 6 outs to get. You got Reitz, Maka, and McGee. You might as well, you're down 4. You got to get some magic here. So Reitz will be pinch hit for. I'm going to go Orge here. Dane Orge is going to bat, because if you leave him on the bench by the time you want to bring in a pinch hitter for him, the Reds will put Dave Tomlin in there. You won't be able to use him. So Dane Orge will bat for Reitz. Orge, my goodness, 81 Dane Orge, 327 in the year of the strike in 220 at-bats. His brother Garth is playing for the Reds. The Orges are playing. Both guys on the bench to start the game. Let's see how Dane does here. Leading off in the bottom of the 8th is a pinch hitter. The pitch to Dane Orge. 46 off of Moscow is single 1-18, and he delivers the single. Reds being patient. They understand they have a 4-run lead. So now you got Ken Maka. Let's take a look at this card here. And I know what you're thinking, folks. This is Ken Maka. This is a fine card. Why in the world would you pinch hit for this guy? 290. If you're pinch hitting for him just because Moscow is better against righties, you don't have a lot of faith in your player. We do have Lou Brock and Tom Herr on the bench. If you bring in Lou Brock, they're just going to go Dave Tomlin. And Tom Herr, again, he's better against righties as well. So they're going to let Maka swing away. And they have to cross their fingers he doesn't hit into a double play here. So Ken Maka will swing away with 1 out, with nobody out, and man at first. The pitch to Ken Maka. 6-10 off the Moscow card is short X. Oh my goodness. This is Concepcion. You have to get the error, or it's over pretty much for the Cardinals. And no, they cannot get it. It's Dave Concepcion. And hey, this Cincinnati Red team, they still got those big Red Machine contributors. Concepcion's defense, Griffey and Foster's sticks are still around. Johnny Bench. Big defensive double play. I know what you're thinking, folks. If you go with a lefty there, it's 3rd X, and you hit it to Dave McKay. But really, at that point, if Moscow's out of the game and went to a pinch hitter, yeah, you'd have Dave Tomlin in there. But now you're back up top after that brutal double play to Willie McGee, Oberkfell, Templeton, Hernandez, Simmons. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight lefties. But you know what? With a 4-run lead, we're going to leave Moscow in there. He got the brilliant double play, so he'll face Willie McGee. 6-10. This is the left side, like I said. It's 3rd X. Now you got a 2E29. These guys have range. That's not an error. You got to plug in the 2 and the E29. And it's a GBA. Oh my goodness. So, Concepcion and McKay are 30 and 29 errors on the left side of that infield, but it came down to the range, and that is brutal for the Cardinals. 5-1 into the ninth. We're going to call it a day for John Martin. He's done such a brilliant job. We don't want to sully it now. He went 1, 2, 3. He went 5 1/3. Wow. And we're going to have Mark Littell, the Cardinal closer, come in and just, you know, because their season is here. It's afoot. Mark Littell was a Cardinal in '79. He was 9-4 with a 2.20 ERA in 82 innings. And he wants to keep this game within a grand slam. My goodness. It's going to be Dave Concepcion leading off. 1-2. And look at this. This always happens. Fly ball center B plus injury. So the one shortstop who just turned that double play in the previous inning, now he gets hurt and is removed from the game. Oh, the Cardinals. They can't get a break. So Concepcion will have to leave shortstop, which means, hey, Garth Orge. He's getting in the game. Dane got in the game, and his brother Garth gets in. Garth goes to third. Dave McKay goes to short. So now, if you can get those defensive X's in the ninth, you can really take advantage of these Reds. Bump Wills. 4-11, left X. Out in left field, it is Jerry Martin. He's good. He's a 2E something. 2E7. Makes the catch. Who did Orge pinch hit for, by the way? Maka's just playing for Reed. So Orge is in at DH, Maka's in at third base. That's a simple substitution on that one. And with 2 outs, it's Dave McKay. 52, center C. Buckle up, bottom of the ninth, Moscow. Got a huge break in the eighth. You got lefty switch, lefty switch. Got a big lead. I'll let him face the batter. Ken Oberfell. He doesn't really scare me. Pitch Ken Oberfell. 33, bounces to second base. They have Templeton. As soon as he puts a guy on, we'll bring in the closer, Ron Davis. Give Cardinals some faint chance of hope here. Gary Templeton, 47. That's a base hit, and that'll do it. So he leaves after an inning and a third in a 5-1 game. And Ron Davis, he's had a nice year. Got a save in the series. He also gave up a homer to George Orta that was a loss. But Ron Davis was a very nice 1981 with the Yankees, a team that went to the World Series. He was 4-5 with a 2.71 ERA in 73 innings. The Yankees let him go because they had Gossage and Righetti, and they still had Tidrow and Terry Leach around. Ron Davis also very good against left-handers, so we knew he was going to do very well against the Cardinals here. So it's all lefties plus more lefties on the bench. You got Hernandez, Simmons. You do have Lou Brock and Hurt on the bench, but it's pointless at this point. Ron Davis. Templeton, by the way, runs down to second base without a throw. You don't want to hold him and create a hole for Keith Hernandez. So Templeton's at second with 1 out, and your batter is Keith Hernandez. Here's the pitch to Keith. 42 off Davis, flies to left field, and with 2 outs, it's all up to Ted Simmons. Let's take a look at his card. Ted Simmons, 1980 card. Excellent. 303 hitter, 21 home runs, switch hitting catcher. Struck out 45 times. Back in an era when that meant something. Yep. He only struck out 45 times. Not like the modern game. Anyway, Ted Simmons just needs to get on base against Ron Davis here to keep the thing going. Here's the pitch to Ted Simmons. 47 off Davis is a strikeout, and that is it, folks. And it's the Red pitching and defense, really, that got them this 4-1 victory, and they win this series 3-1. Oh my goodness. And the St. Louis Cardinals, sadly, so disappointed, they do not make the playoffs. That is a shame. We really were rooting for this team. I don't know what more you can do with this present team. I mean, the Padres are going to hold on to Ozzie Smith. The Phillies are going to hold on to Lonnie Smith for another year. So you're not going to get those guys until, what year is this? 2025. If we're still around watching, that's when the Cardinals will acquire those guys. Oh, brutal finish to the Cardinals season here at home, letting the home fans down by losing 2 straight to the big bad Reds. Littell, scoreless ninth, and John Martin, my goodness, a hit and 2 Ks. Really? And that's all right. And the Reds did all their damage in the 3rd inning, and that was more than enough. They got their 7 hits and 5 runs, all off of Silvio Martinez with a walk. Ron Davis gets a save in the 9th with a strikeout. Moscow gave up 2 hits. Joe Price was the story, really. Just 2 hits. Solo home run and a single in this one. A walk and 2 strikeouts. Something about the lefties. The Cardinals, they're switch hitters, they're left-handed batters. They're just... When they have Lou Brock leading off, Tommy Herbat in second, Dane Orge batting 5th, this team is on fire, but not today. My goodness. 1019-0109, 5814, 5814, 1213, 1213. Clearly the Reds are the top team in this division, plus they also won the season series to add insult to injury. Cardinals beat them 3-2, and the Reds just beat these guys 3-1. That is a real shame. Real shame there. Looking at the year-to-date stats for the 2 squads. It's all come to the end for the Cardinals. You know what? They just finished at 15-15. Can't have a pity party. You got to do better than that. They scored 142 runs. They gave up 125 runs, plus 17. They had opportunity to win a few more games and just couldn't do it. They hit 295. And the ERA was 3.97, which isn't great, but it's not horrible. Just couldn't win the close ones, apparently. John Fulgham, don't blame him, folks. 6-0. He won game 1 of this series before they dropped the next 3. 6-0. But Bob Forsch, an unsightly 1-6. Statistically, Forsch is going to look worse, but it's not, drastically worse. Let's see, Fulgham. It's a 2.33 ERA. Forsch, 3.56 ERA, but one guy had support, one guy didn't. We did have a nice year of power for Ted Simmons. He had 7 home runs. And Ted Simmons, ladies and gentlemen, he drove in 31 runs in 30 games for these Cardinals. He's on the MVP ballot in the National League. But Gary Templeton, 49 hits. My goodness, 49 for 127. For I ain't departing Templeton. 386. You can see why the Cardinals, they should be able to win with him versus Ozzie. At least on paper. Of course, it's not happening. Just not happening. So there's something to be said about that, folks. There's something to be said about, go get Ozzie Smith and get to the playoffs for the Cardinals. That's the best thing I can conclude them with. The Reds, 20-11. And they got to wait the results of the Philly series. Philadelphia still has to play Atlanta. Phillies have clinched. Atlanta's out. Won't affect the playoff field. Reds 20-11. They're hitting 273, 338 ERA. Joe Price in the bullpen is 2-1. 8 runs in 19 innings is okay. But the big story is Tom Seaver, 7-2, 3 complete games. Ron Davis is 8 saves. 13 innings, 6 runs allowed. He had 1 bad outing and the loss. Or actually, the one loss was that walk-off or that homer to George Orta. That was his loss. Offensively, we do have some power by Bench. He's got 7 homers and 24 RBIs for Johnny Bench, 79 card. It's fantastic. 25 RBIs for George Foster. In 31 games, we got 41 hits for Lee Lacy, the spark plug. And, you know, the real big story is they went out and got Lee Lacy, who has a heck of a early 80s, and the Pirates didn't. So, here are the Reds, we're the Pirates. There you go. That could be the difference. Just one guy at the top of the lineup. Lee Lacy, 41 for 135, hitting 304, leading these Reds. And now we can look at the overall standings here. Nothing changes other than and I got woo, and out in Las Vegas they're going down to the Riviera, play some high-low guts. Yeah. High Chicago Guts in Las Vegas. They get the 6. Oh my goodness. Just a game over 500. And look how close look at all these teams who like missed out on that. Dodgers, a game under. Giants, game under. How about your Pirates? The world champions of 1979, game under. Cardinals, 500. And then the Braves, 2 and 7 under. So the Mets get the 5. Vegas gets your 6. Unbelievable. Las Vegas, they're a good team. You saw their broadcast. They're talented. There are no slouches there. Right now playing 6:45 baseball, the Reds, 20-11. And the Phillies still have to play the Braves. So the Phillies have to, you know, win some baseball games to keep this percentage above the Reds. So it looks like the Phillies are 1, the Reds are 2. In some configuration, back and forth. Because it doesn't look like, the Astros as a 3. I really doubt the Phillies are going to fall all the way down to a 3. Could happen. We'll have to find out later. So that the Astros become the new number 2 and the Reds become the new number 1. So if it stays the way it is, we would have Vegas going to Houston. And we would have the Mets going to Portland in the wild card round. Wild card teams, Portland and Vegas. So yeah. And by wild card round, it's just one game. So if you want to put some money down on the Mets, go ahead. I mean, it's just one game. You know, for the road team, not a big deal. Put some money in Las Vegas? Yeah, go ahead. Just one game. And then, of course, after that, the divisional round. That's it today. Break up the Reds. Cincinnati Reds have clinched the division. They're trying to get the top seed. They won 3 out of 4 against a division rival. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.